Gotham.
Gotham.
Creation of taking a new story with using an existing universe. How did that process go for you?
I guess the nut of the idea, or rather the kind of, the seed of it is, did you ever, when you were in your teenage years, see pictures of your parents when they were young, and what a revelation that was? You know, when you're old enough to realise that everyone you know had a life before you, and how fascinating that is. And origin stories to me are the best stories. Finding out how people got to be the way they are, like Rudyard Kipling's Just So stories, or any superhero origin story. So as soon as I started talking with DC about doing something in the Batman universe, that was immediately what I thought of, starting from earlier than anyone had done before, and it just, everything fell together from that, from the idea that if young Detective Gordon was the policeman that investigated the Wayne murders, it kind of made sense of the world, and it allowed us to tell a lot of great stories that explain a lot about the famous people that everyone knows today. You know, the Joker, the Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman. It just, to me, as soon as they put on the costumes, they become something more than human, but more than human is sometimes less than human at the same time. People are much more interesting to me than superheroes, because superheroes precisely have magic powers that we don't. So this allows us to tell stories in that really cool Gotham world that aren't resolved by superpowers, by strength, but by simple human wisdom and resourcefulness.
So you sound like a super fan
of the
Batman, DC Batman.
Well, actually, I would have said that until I come to Comic-Con and see what a real super fan is. And I can't even slightly claim to be a super fan, but to me that's actually useful in this world, because the show has to appeal to people beyond the super fans, and also it's a journey of discovery. And if you already know everything, then there's not really much to explore or find out about. To me, it's both. This show is both for the super fans, but it's also for people who really, have no interest at all in the DC universe, because once you're in that world, it's a totally engrossing 3D real world, and it doesn't rely on having to be a fan of the comic books. It's about people and human situations.
How much are you going to take from the comics, and what percentage is going to be reading?
Yeah, that's a good question. That comic book landscape is so vast, and so many, the definition of mythology is practically that there are more stories told about a particular character than can possibly be true. The same is true of Hercules or Apollo. So if you read all the comic books, it doesn't add up to a coherent story, because precisely there's so many stories that because people have been inventing them, because it's kind of a flower that blossoms when it works, like Batman has blossomed all over the world. So we'll take elements from the comic book world, but we'll also create new stories ourselves, and that's the luxury of starting earlier than most.